How did the idea come to perform truth then?
Well, the whole story is pretty much basically on a mother's prayer for her son to be on stage with four of his friends. And those two guys at that time had to be Rodney and Reggie, and they had three other guys to perform with them on the television show called Putting on the Hits. Well, all of that time that Rodney and Reggie were doing their thing, Steve and myself, we were doing our thing. But we actually knew each other because we were going to the same school.
Oh.
And so at that time, the group was already chosen to go on the television show Putting on the Hits. And they did the television show and they won. And a producer had called the show, wanted to know if the guys could really sing because he liked to dance. So just like you said, it was always about the dancing, and, you know, they love the dancing.
Yeah.
So he got in contact with the show. They put him in contact with Rodney's mother. At that time, something was going on with the other members where they weren't able to be a part of the group. Enters at that time, it was myself, Steve, Rodney, Reggie, and a guy named Shane. We tried out for that guy, Greg Parade. Greg Parade is a producer. He was on the Jackson's Victory Tour.
Wow.
He also played with Tito on the song Time Was for No One on the Tribe album of the Jacksons. So yeah, he was a really good producer, and he teamed us up with another producer by the name of Michael Henderson. Michael Henderson, yeah, big time songwriter, producer, been around all over. He did a song on us, and we did it in a showcase for A&M Records. And we were kind of still wet behind the ears, so we didn't get that situation. And at the time, one of the guys in the group, kind of like the guy I was talking about earlier, Shane, he got impatient about everything, so he stopped coming around. And that's how we were able to get Alan. But Greg, he decided that he didn't, you know, something happened within his family to where he had to be taken away to try to keep working with us. So he turned us over to David Cook and Steve Cohen, and we auditioned for them, and they got us to deal with Atlantic Records.
Now, at this time, you got Alan involved, did you guys have a sense of direction among yourselves, or you
Yeah, our sense of direction was to be some incredible performers. A group of guys that could sing a cappella, that could dance and that could sing, you know, just through harmony, and put all three of those together and just make a one, you know, packed power group.
But then at this time, when you're still in high school, were you guys performing in talent shows in schools or?
Yeah. We until our deal was signed in '86. So the people that were doing talent shows at that time, since we had our deal, they would call us professionals, so we couldn't be able to compete.
Yeah.
But they would let us come to perform, so we would do that.
Now, what was your mother's? Because here you are, had this strict routine of singing in church every Sunday. Now you've told her that, you know, somebody wants to offer you a record deal and being in a group. How did they respond?
Well, I know that that's what my mother wanted me to do, as far as like to be with the family, but the family began to go in different ways and begin to separate, simply because they were getting older and they wanted their own families to live their own lives.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like basically kept singing, whether I would be with mom most of the time at church or I was with the group. So she pretty much accepted it because she saw that it was a mother that was involved, that was actually, you know, in control of the group and putting the group together and everything. So yes, it took a little minute, but you know, she accepted it.
Yeah, but then, so was Reggie's mom your first manager? Rodney was his mom. So she was your first manager?
Yeah.
Okay. Did she know anything about the industry at that time, or?
what she knew at the time is she just could only take it as far as she could, which was, you know, us doing talent shows
Oh,
and being able, you know, the other stuff that came about, she had to turn over
okay.
as far as like for us to be able to be a part of the business of the
Yeah,
music industry. So she
yeah,
turned that part over to David Cookie C. Cohn. You know, she
okay,
trusted them, they trusted her, and they did pretty good with us, you know,
okay.
especially our first two albums.
Yeah. Now, at the time you guys came out now, the Jacksons have stopped performing, so just Michael, although he came back with for the Victory Tour, and then we
Yeah,
had a young New Edition. Did you, so that there weren't many, and then prior to that we had the Temptations. So here you guys are a five-piece group. Who were you modeling yourselves after at those early
it's,
days?
well, it was always we not between the Temptations, the Jacksons, and New Edition. Yeah,
And I can understand the Temptations and the Jacksons because
yeah,
they were trendsetters. But New Edition, they're around your same age, and they did come out with an album a little bit earlier while they're probably in middle school. So, but
yeah.
were you in those very early days compared to this is a new version of a New Edition, a West Coast version, or was that ever how the?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
But how did it
absolutely.
feel for you guys to be said we're modeling you after New Edition? Did you feel no, we're a different group, or what was it like for you guys?
We knew that we were a little bit different, but we actually followed, you know, we tried to follow the path that they were on. Um, Meaning having really, really good songs, the choice of songs and the choice of the singles that were released,
Yeah,
and the choice of production that we decided to use with, you know, with Joe Levert and Eddie Levert Sr. and Chucky Booker, and we just wanted to make sure that the material that we were using, we wanted to be able to not to compete with everybody else, but just make sure that we were on the same wavelength, was just doing good music.
yeah. So here you are now. It's, five young kids, being put together. The name. Where did it come from?
Well, it came from a television show, uh, series called F Troop, and so Steve, you know, we talked one day, and mind you, Mamacita was coming out. Our first single was coming out within 72 hours, and so we didn't have a name yet.
Oh my God. Okay.
And because the name that we kept, you know, that we had, the label, you know, they didn't want to get with none of the names that we, you know, given them. And so because of this dance that's actually called the Troop, coming from this dance group that I used to dance with called the Dramatics, we did a lot of street dances and stuff like that that we made up. And I brought some of those same dances to the group. And it just kind of basically fit on what was going on with choreography,
Mm.
and it kind of fit with basically what like our style was. And Steve said, let's just be true, and it worked. And you know, called the label, told the label, okay, we want to stick with this group, this name called Troop, and they said fine. And I guess they said fine because they had like, you know, pretty much 24 to 48 hours to go ahead to release that first single.
Wow. Goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
yeah.
So, but the recording part then, because if you've never been in a studio, what was it like being in a studio and having to learn how to record a song?
It was it's a lot of fun because, well, before working with Gerald Levert and Eddie Levert and Chuck and them, we worked with a guy named we worked with two guys named Ran and Jan. We worked with Zach Harmon, and we did tons of demos
Okay.
with those guys. And so that kind of gave us our start at learning how to record vocals and
Okay.
making sure that everything was right. And then that also too, at the time, Alan was actually writing original songs. So when Alan was writing songs, that kind of like gave us our thing to be able to say to ourselves that we can go ahead and do this as a group versus
Yeah.
always doing a bunch of new edition songs, what have you, Fortune B's or whatever, because we used
Yeah.
to sing those songs in talent shows all the time, mainly
Yeah.
new edition. But we used to always sing their songs. And then once Alan had joined the group, Alan started coming with just writing different songs and melodies, and that kind of gave us the brainstorm of being able to go into the studio and start recording our own stuff. And David quickly formed with the guys for that to get us in contact with those producers, Zach Harmon and Rand and Jan. And then we just grew from there. We got our deal with Atlantic, and then Atlantic had put us in contact with Gerald and Chucky.
Oh,
So we kind of basically already had the know of what to do before we got there.
yeah. Your first single, Mamacita. So as I said, did you know how big the song was? Because I was in Nigeria, so I don't know if you guys were aware that across the Atlantic in Nigeria and Africa and across that, you guys had a song that it's a hit. But do you guys realize how big the song was at that time?
Well, to be honest, you always test your stuff on people. And at the time, I was an extra in this movie called Coming to America.
Okay.
And I was with a friend of mine, and we was on this bus getting ready to drive up to a site so we can do some shooting. And we had just finished. I just got the demo. It was fresh. It was just, it wasn't mixed and wasn't mastered. It was just a rough copy of the single, and it was saying this is going to be our first single. So I told my friend who I was sitting with, Proctor Barnell, PB3. We was hanging out together. He was on the bus, and he told me, he said, "Look, man, this is going to be you guys' first single." He said, "I need you to go ahead and turn on your box and play it." I said, "Right now?" Because I always had a radio with me, but I would take the radio up to the site and plug it up and play it. I would play it like once we would get settled.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, play it now, play it now." And so I hit the play button, and those congas in the beginning, they start and everything. And when the beat drops, he touches my shoulder and he says, "Look at the heads. Look at the heads on this bus." There was a bunch of people on the bus that we were riding up to the site to be able to do some filming. And he said, "Look at all of these heads." And everybody's head was just doing this. And he said, "You got a hit, you got a hit." So yeah, it was, but as far as taking out as well as it did, never would imagine that it would get to, #2 Billboard or
Yeah.
#1 R&R, that was amazing to us.
Yeah, and I said going across the world,
Yeah.
as I said, that was the first song that I remember when I was in high school hearing from you guys, and then
Wow.
seeing you guys perform. The rumor we had was that these, because we all watched breaking, Turbo
Oh, yeah.
and was big
Oh, yeah.
also in Nigeria, I remember, and so because breakdancing and stuff was so big around the world and around that 80s, and then you guys come out with a track and your performance, it just took us by surprise. So as I said, we grew up with New Edition because we saw them as kids,
Yeah.
but we didn't see their performance until their Heartbreak album. That's when we really saw them
Wow.
do that. That's when we saw them dance.
Yeah.
But you guys, this is how you guys came out as this incredible performance and stuff.
Y'all ready to get busy? Well, let me introduce the fellas to you. This is Rodney B, John, Reggie Steve, and I'm Alan. Hit it. Come on. Oh, yeah. Come on.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.